I talk a lot about Kingdom Hearts. A lot. In spite of my issues with the story, the series still keeps me coming back for every installment, so much that I dedicated a whole month to celebrate its legacy. That being said, you might have noticed there was a certain game I barely talked about, 358 over 2 Days. Like many fans of the franchise, I find Days to be one of the weaker entries in the series due to its bland and repetitive gameplay and less than stellar story. Which is a shame because on paper, the game sounded like a fanboy's dream. A side story focusing on the iconic Organization 13 that you could take on the go and play alongside your friends, and being able to play as organization members? Sign me up! So today, I'm going to be looking at 358 over 2 Days and talk about what I would do if I were to remake the game, since we can't count on Square Enix to do that anytime soon. I'm going to divide this video into 2 sections, one focusing on the story and the other focusing on the gameplay. So without further ado, let's jump into it. As a concept, the story of Days sounds effective, letting us see more of Roxas and Axel's backstory along with showcasing the other organization members. Unfortunately, it's plagued by awkward writing, Shion's characterization, and mishandling the other members. The biggest problem with the friendship between Roxas, Axel, and Shion is how stilted it feels. More often than not, the game just tells us what the characters are feeling instead of letting it be revealed through their actions. We're repeatedly told how great the trio's friendship is, yet the only evidence of that is them smiling while eating ice cream.
Let's eat some ice cream. We are best friends.
You are right. Ha ha ha.
Have them playfully riff on one another, banter during missions, have nicknames, dumb in-jokes. Sora, Riku, and Kairi's friendship felt more natural in the very first game, so why not here? Or heck, just them eating ice cream could work if working in the organization was depicted as so awful that ice cream was the only good thing. I mean, there were shades of that, but in order for that sort of thing to be effective, you really need to emphasize how sucky it is being an organization member. Then we move on to Shion. In my top 14 organization members countdown, I made the point that Shion was a character I felt about, and you could ironically remove her from the story and not lose much. And while I still stand by that statement, in the interest of fairness, I want to propose that we rewrite her instead. The main problem with Shion is that she felt more like a living plot device than an actual character, being mainly defined by her relationship to Roxas and Axel rather than her own personality. I get that she's a living replica and all that, but that makes her big death scene a lot less effective. Dialogue notwithstanding.
No. Shion. Who else will I have ice cream with?
Did you remember it?
Anyways, let's give Shion some more characterization. Have her feel more conflicted about helping Sora, the organization's enemy. What's her relationship like with Vexen, the guy who created her? Just give her something so she's not another nobody version of Kairi. I've also mentioned her possibly being Kairi's Heartless and how that could open up a connection between Xehanort and Kairi. Maybe Shion's boss battle would be to kill her to add her power to the construction of Kingdom Hearts. With that being said, there's still the problem of the organization members being underutilized. Other than the main trio and Saïx, the other members receive little to no relevance in the plot, which is really disappointing considering how little of their backstory we know. Seriously, it's taken over a decade for Marluxia's original form to be revealed, and we still know jack about that guy. This is an easy opportunity to develop the more bland members of the organization as well. Take Zexion, for instance. He was the youngest member of the organization when it first started. So how about exploring that? Maybe he relates to Roxas, given that he was once the baby of the team. Maybe instead of a friend, he could become an older brother figure to him. Plus, that could lead to some interesting drama later down the line. Imagine Roxas's reaction when Zexion is KIA in Castle Oblivion. To play devil's advocate though, doing so would be difficult given that we'd have to give each organization member their fair share of screen time and development. So what I propose is the following. After every mission, we see Roxas hang out at the Twilight Town clock tower. So why not have something where Roxas can pick whom he spends time with, like social links in Persona, or the free time events in Danganronpa, or Fire Emblem Three Houses. This way, we could see more sides to the organization's personalities. After all, they aren't all just evil bad guys, or at least they try not to be. We could even have Roxas earn exclusive skills and the ability to bring certain members to missions freely, which could help keep the gameplay fresh. Speaking of which, that brings us smoothly to the next section. 358 over 2 days had a combat system similar to 2, but due to the limited hardware of the DS, it's natural that it doesn't have the same depth. That being said, limitations are still no excuse for enemies to have their health inflated to ridiculous levels while we're stuck with limited magic casts. I get that the devs are trying to make the combat more strategic this way, but all it did was made us hoard our magic until the end of the mission. The solution to these issues is simple. Completely remove all the problems I mentioned. Though as important as the core gameplay is, there's still the matter of the game's mission system. Now, I'm personally not a fan of the mission system, but I can acknowledge why it's in the game. Since you're playing as the organization this time around, your goal isn't to explore the worlds, but to gather hearts, do recon, you know, bad guy stuff. With that said though, certain mission types are annoying. Namely, the recon ones. This is an action RPG. I come here to hit things, not examine random objects hoping to progress like a second-rate point-and-click game. Same problem with the hunting missions. More often than not, I just found myself wandering aimlessly and waiting for the next enemy to appear. So I propose that we scrap those types and add some new ones to keep things interesting. How about a mission type where you have to defend some kind of heart extraction machine from a horde of enemies, or a challenge where you have to keep the heart bonus going for a certain amount of time? There's a lot you can work with here, and other games have used the same structure effectively. Alongside the mission system, one of the biggest changes 358 over 2 days made to the series gameplay came in the form of the panel system, where all of your abilities, items, equipment, and magic came in the form of panels that you place on a grid. Now, personally, I think the system works, but there's one problem with it: having to manually equip levels. All it does is take away potentially interesting decision making from the player when most of your panels are taken up. Just let us level up normally and add a 0 EXP panel. And now for the biggest missed opportunity in 358 over 2 days: alternate playable characters. Ever since they were first introduced, the battles with Organization 13 have consistently been some of the most fun and memorable in the series. Mostly anyways.
Dance, water, dance!
Yet!
So the idea of you being able to play as them and use all those crazy moves you once struggled against seems too good to be true. And sadly it was. Other than base stats and limit breaks, the other members don't really feel any different than Roxas, which isn't helped when they all have access to the same magic. For this fix, I propose that we divide the characters into play styles similar to Terra, Ventus, and Aqua in Birth by Sleep. Characters like Lexius and Syx would be power types, focusing on slow but strong attacks and endurance. Members like Larksheen and Zigbar would be speed types, focusing on quick combos and maneuverability. And others like Zexion and Demix would be magic types, focusing on crowd control and, well,
magic.
Certain characters could also be hybrids between 2 or more playstyles. Vexen would be a power magic hybrid, Luxor would be a magic speed hybrid, and Axel would be a speed power hybrid. While we're at it, let's also restrict the magic each character has. Aside from healing spells, characters should only have access to the magic of their respective element. If you gotta create new spell lines for elements that haven't been represented in other games in the series, so be it. How about incorporating the gear system in a more meaningful way as well, like allowing Larksheen to choose between knife throwing and clone combos, or letting Zigbar choose between sniping and run and gun. There's so much you can work with here. In conclusion, I can safely say that this game could benefit immensely from a remake, just like what Recom did for Chain of Memories. I really liked that one. Sadly though, it seems we're just gonna have to settle for HD cutscenes for now. I recognize that my suggestions are likely not going to do anything, given that they're only one of many wanting a remake for 358 over 2 days. With that said, however, this community is capable of great things. It wasn't too long ago that Kingdom Hearts 2 was modded to allow you to play as Vanitas, and also to recreate battles from Days. Who knows? Maybe the remake could be the next big fan mod. Until then, I'm the Fiery Joker, and may your heart be your guiding key.